Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a rock crawler inside Forza Horizon 5, and then we're going to take it outside in the rig and I'm going to show you what it looks like driving in the simulator. So let's get into it, shall we? This is my Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 2012, that's what I'm using. So we just go into upgrades and tuning, we'll start there. Custom upgrade. So I've done an engine swap in this. The reason I've done an engine swap is because I want the most amount of torque possible for the longest amount of period. So if we put the standard one back in, got no power really, it's right down there, 285. You can put all the upgrades on it and it'll push it up quite a bit, and then you can change it to this one or this one or this one. And then I've gone for a 7.2 litre V8. See that power curve for the torque, the orange one, orange, pink, red, pink in it, might be red, that one on the graph, that one that just stays level pretty much all the way through the power band of the RPM. That's what we want. Gives it 1300 horsepower and 1000 pound per square foot of torque. So that's what we're using. I've then put a supercharger on it. The reason I put a supercharger on it is because see at the start of the graph, see that little drop there from a turbo? I don't want that. I don't want turbo lag at the start. So we're going to put a supercharger on it, no turbo lag. That's what we're using. Then we're going to not change the drivetrain because you want a all-wheel drive drivetrain for a rock crawler. Definitely all-wheel drive drivetrain for a rock crawler. You don't want rear wheel drive, it has to be all wheel drive because you're going over rocks and that you need every wheel to work at the same time. So we're just going to go into the engine. I've done all of these and put them onto race. Everything's on race in here. Give it a bit more power. Everything's on race alert all the way down. Supercharger is even on race. Give it more power. Then we're going to go into the platform and handling. The brakes. Put race brakes on it. Then we put off-road springs and dampeners on it. Then we put race anti-roll bars front and rear. Then we're going to put a roll cage in it. You don't have to put a roll cage in it if you don't want, if you feel that it puts too much weight in the car, but I like the look of it, so that's what we're doing. And then in drivetrain, oh hang on a minute, did I miss one in, I think I missed one inside platform handling. Yeah, I missed weight reduction. You want to put weight reduction in it just to drop it down, otherwise it's like over four tons, you don't want that. So now it drops it down to 3.5 tons, as light as possible to go over rocks. That's what you need. We're going to go back into drivetrain. We're going to put a sport clutch in it. We're not going to put a raised clutch in it because see it takes the handling down. We're just going to leave the sport clutch in it. That's perfectly fine. Transmission, we're going to put a 10-speed transmission in it. I'll talk you through why in a minute. Driveline, we're going to put a race driveline in it, and then we're going to put a off-road differential in it. So that is that upgrade. Then we're going to go into tyres and rims. So there are two you can use. You can use off-road tyre compound and off-road race tyre compound. The reason I'm using the race tyre compound is just because it looks nicer. I know that you get a better stats when you use the off-road tyre compound. See the handling, the acceleration and the launch all go up. But I just don't like the look of them. I really don't. So I'll do the trade-off and I'll have this because they look so much better. So that's the one we're using in there. And then front tyre width maxed out as much as possible, rear tyre width max out as much as possible. The reason we do that is because the wider they are, the more traction you get when you're on the ground. That's what you need when you're crawling over rocks. Rim style, I've just put some nice rims on it just like that. You can pick whatever rims you want, preferably ones that are lighter than the rest of them, but you don't have to. And then front tyre width and rear, well, front tyre size and rim size, not tyre size, front rim size and rear rim size, leave it stock because you want as much of the tyre as possible. We move it up, look, we go to the back wheel, you can see that I've got less tyre wall now. Tyre wall is a space from the top of the rim to the top of the tyre. Yeah, so where it starts curving over onto the bit that touches the floor. So if we go back down here, now you've got more tyre wall. The reason you want that is because you're going to have no PSI in the tyre whatsoever. They're going to be barely inflated. So you need as much of that as possible when you're going over rocks to suck up whatever the rock has got. Do you get me? So when you're going over a rock, it will push the tyre right in, and you want it to go in quite a while before it hits the rim. You do it at this one, then you're just going to drive over rocks and it's just going to be pushing the tyre in and smacking the edge of the rim all the time. So that's not what you want. You want these. So just leave them as stock, give you the most amount of tyre wall as possible. Error and appearance, you can do whatever you want in here really. I mean, I'd prefer not to put that on it. This one's perfectly fine. Don't put that on it because it's too low. You want as much ground clearance as possible. And it looks horrible. And then on the back, you don't even need a spoiler on the back because we're not even touching that. Then you can change the back and rear bumper to whatever you want. Same as the sides, you can change to whatever you want, doesn't really matter. So that is the basic upgrade. Now we're going to go into tuning. So I'm going to take you through this really quickly. I will put my tune up right now, so you can go and download my tune and use my tune instead of having to go through this and do it yourself. But if you want to learn a little bit, we'll go for each bit. So tyres, we're going to make them as low as possible, right at the bottom. The reason we're doing that is because, like I said before, you need them as de-inflated as possible, that they suck up all of the concaves in the floor. If you have them really high, then there's no give in the tyre. So you go over a rock, it's just going to bounce off the rock. We don't want that. We want it to be as less deflated as possible. So when you go over that rock, it like hugs the rock. That's what we want. Gearing, this is what we're talking about. So final drive, I've maxed it all the way out. And then first I've pushed it up a little bit. Second, I pushed it up a little bit as well. Third, I've pushed it up a little bit. The reason I've done that, they'd start down here somewhere like this. Look. Back down there. So when I push it, I mean, the final drive starts somewhere down here. Look, so if we do it like this, yeah, it starts not that far. That's just stupid, isn't it? Starts around there. Yeah, the reason we're maxing it out, because if you look at the graph on the bottom right hand corner, it brings the whole thing to the left hand side, meaning the car's slower, but it's got better acceleration. And then we're going to put first up. The reason we're doing that is because we want a low first gear, we want a low second gear, we want a low third gear, short ratios in these gears, and then fourth will be a little bit longer, and then fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th will be your normal driving gears. So first, second, third, and maybe fourth will be your gears that you're going to use to drive over rocks and off-road. Really slow, really low range, so you're not going to get much speed out of them, but there's a lot of torque there. Or if you want to go over a lump or you want to go over a rock, you can just do that at low speed. And then 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th are going to be you driving on the road, so just shift it up into 6th or 5th, and you can drive along at a normal speed. I mean, I know mine says my top speed is 21.6 miles per hour there, but it's not. If you look at the graph, it's actually, what, around 150 or something? I don't know why it says that. It says braking distance failed and that, because I've changed it, and Forza's having a little bit of a problem there. Alignment, we're going to max it out all the way in the middle, all the way down, 0, 0, 0, 0, because we're going to be driving at really slow range. You don't need camber, positive and negative. You don't need toe in, you don't need toe out. You're not going to be driving fast, we're going to be driving straight. We want as much of the tyre touching the ground as possible at low speed. So we're going to go near 0 on everything, and then caster all the way up to 7. Anti-roll bars, make it soft on everything, as soft as possible. The reason you do that is because you're going to be driving over rocks. So you need the suspension to be really soft, that when you go over a rock, you're just going to push that side up or push the other side up. You don't want any resistance in there whatsoever. Not really. Springs, we're going to soft them out exactly the same as anti-roll bars. And then ride height, we're just going to max out as high as possible. You want the car to be as high as possible to give you the most ground clearance between the car and the floor. And then dampening, we're going to make the rebound stiffness as soft as possible, the bump stiffness as soft as possible. You don't actually have to have these that soft. You can raise them up a little bit if you find that your car's bouncing around all over the place. But I love the car looking like it's bouncing around all over the place, like it's a boat on water. I think that looks cool. So that's why I've got it set to 0 and everything. If you don't want that, just make them a little bit stiffer like this. Push them all up. Make it a little bit stiffer, but I'm not doing that. I like it bouncing around, so we're going to go right the way to the bottom. Have everything on soft. Aero, can't touch that because I haven't put anything on it that needs touching. So you don't even need to touch it, doesn't matter. Braking, you want 50% balance between front and rear, and then braking force 100. It's perfectly fine, just leave it alone. Differential will be set like this as standard, you don't need to change it. Acceleration high, deceleration high, front and rear, both perfectly fine. You want to lock the diffs. Lock the diffs means that both tyres, or both wheels, will spin at the same time. Doesn't matter what is touching them, if one's on the ground or the other one's not on the ground, they'll still both spin at the same time, which is what you want. And then centre balance, front and rear. The reason you want that is because you want to push power all the way around the car at the same point, because you're going to be driving over rough terrain. So that is the basic tune for a off-road rock climber inside Forza Horizon 5. So let's go and check it out in the rig, shall we? Oh, look at that. Look at it bouncing around at a rev. Oh. Right, so we're just going to shift down here. Oh, it's got a lot of torque. See what I mean by low range? Driving around at, what, 10 miles an hour? I'm halfway through the rev range in first already. So we are just going to go, I don't know, let's pick a spot. Let's go over here to the left. Look, see if we can make it up here. It bouncing around, that's what you want. Loads of ground clearance. I've got the nice Jurassic Park looking theme on it. Not the one that everyone has, I just found a different one and thought I'd use that. Someone else one. Right, so let's go and find some rocks. I might be in the complete wrong place to do this. I think I am in the wrong place. Let's turn around. That face looked a bit like, well, I'm never going to make it up that face, didn't it? Do you reckon I can make it up that face? I don't know, let's give it a go. Oh yeah, look, straight up those rocks. I don't think I'm going to make it through that gap. Shall we try? Try and make it through that gap? Put it into reverse. Let's turn around. Back into first. Where's the gap in that rock? Oh, it's this side. Here we go. Right up here. Right in that gap. There. Do you reckon we can make it in there? Oh, it's a tiny gap. Right, let's give it a go. Oh yeah, we made it through. There we go. There we go, look. Tiny bit of power. Over that rock, go on, over. Yes. Right. Let's just give it some beams here. Oh no, I'm going to drop down, don't do that. Up into third. Right. Give it some beams to try and get over these rocks. Go on, up you go, go on, backside. Yes. Made it up. Made it up. Look at that. Right at the top. And that is how you create a rock crawler inside Forza Horizon 5. If you like that, give me a like and a subscribe and check out my other videos.